Okay, people who are saying that Link is a dark character are dumb. All right?
Yeah.
Link's not a very dark character. No Nintendo character is very dark. The darkest character in those games, I mean, even Ganon's a bad guy, but he's a classic archetypal bad guy. He's
he
not
doesn't
that
really
dark.
have much personality. He's just evil.
Right, exactly. And he's about as, dark. Bowser's about as dark as he is. I mean, it doesn't translate. About the darkest character in those games is Solid Snake, and he's not. That's because he's not a Nintendo character.
Captain Falcon.
Yeah.
My crossover that I would mind, my crossover that I think I would like to see, Tetris and Dr. Mario.
So would that be pills in a Tetris game, or would that be Tetrominoes in...
Tetrad-shaped pills.
Right? Yeah.
I've never played Dr. Mario, but it reminds me of Tetris, so I think it'd be a good crossover.
Or is it just Dr. Mario throwing out the Tetrominoes? Like,
That
Did
could
you say
be it.
Tetrominoes?
what? Tetrominoes? Tetraminos?
Tetri?
I thought they were tetrads.
No, they're called Tetrominoes. Like dominoes, but with 4.
You're making
Look
that
it up on
aren't
you guys have Wikipedia open already?
Take your word for it.
I won't. I think you're lying.
It's because you're a jerk.
I am a jerk. I still think you're lying.
Tetrominoes. What?
Yeah.
You just
Sometimes-
blew Michael Gray's mind.
Wow.
What?
I want to say I really do enjoy the hostility I bring to these podcasts.
Oh, it's great. No, actually, one of my favorite
Someone's gotta be the
podcasts
angry-
is the one where we talked about Indiana Jones. I thought that was great.
I can tone it down if anybody wants.
No, tone it up more.
Yeah, that's what we keep Christian Porter around for.
You can play Tetris on the iPod now? So, whoa. I thought an iPod just played music. I'm confused.
So speaking of adventure games, there was actually, Telltale did actually release a sort of crossover game a month or two ago called Poker Night at the Inventory. Anyone? It's a poker game. It has Max from Sam and Max, a guy from Team Fortress, a guy from Penny Arcade, and Strong Bad, all playing poker. It's a crossover game.
That's cool.
I play that.
I don't know, a poker game? Seriously?
They needed the money. But they're still making the CSI games.
They are? No.
That
can't be
surprised the
Telltale.
crap out of me. Like, this new CSI game came out, like, last week, and it was developed by Telltale. Like, they haven't promoted it anywhere on their website. Like, I'm on their press mailing list, nothing. But it totally was developed by Telltale.
Maybe they just copied and pasted and just, changed some of the text.
Maybe.
Probably. But they probably don't need to do a whole hell of a lot for those games.
I believe Christian Porter has had some nasty things to say about them in the past.
Yes.
At least the one he played.
It had a lot of advertisements in it.
I like the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys crossover, although that was so popular that now they exist in the same universe, so it's not a crossover anymore.
That blew my
But they
mind
already
when I
did.
saw that on one of your video walkthroughs, where all of a sudden they just decided to call the Hardy Boys. I had no idea that was
Wow.
a thing.
They're banging.
It started off as crossover, and now it's the same universe. It's so weird.
Because they're banging.
No.
Wait. Both of the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew?
They're freaky like
Okay,
that.
this is it. I can't be on this podcast.
Sometimes they invite the Babysitters Club over.
So, Jetty, have we gotten any mail on the podcast?
No.
No?
No.
Unless it's going to my spam. But I specifically made a filter for anything.
Well, if any GameCola podcast fans out there wanted to email us about this podcast or any other podcast they listen to, even if it's not actually a GameCola podcast, whatever, we're lonely. How could they do that?
Also, suggest topics you want to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or just, say like, hey, I want to hear Mike Ridgaway yell about such and such, or hey, I want to hear a list of the worst things Mike Ridgaway can call Paul Franzen, or hey, I want to hear Mike Franzen.
What?
I want to hear Mike that. I want to hear Mike kicking Paul in the crotch. We'll do it.
What?
Mike Franzen is the ultimate crossover between Michael
It
Ridgway and
is.
Paul Franzen.
And on that note, it's been wonderful talking to you all. This has been the GameCola podcast. Thank you.
Yes, good night, everybody.
No, but
Good
wait,
night.
how can they email us? How can they email us?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They don't know how to email us yet. They email us at podcast@gamecola.net. And tell us what you want in the podcast, or send us what you liked about the podcast, or what you didn't like about the podcast.
Or you can tell us which crossovers you would like to see.
Yeah, or why you don't like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Or why you do.
But most likely why you don't.
Or why you think Michael Gray should come back to the GameCola staff.
Yay. You know,
I mean,
I actually submitted a question for discussion on the GameCola podcast that didn't get discussed, really. So, on the Metroid podcast, I sent in a letter, but it didn't get read, and it made me sad.
Oh.
Did you send a letter to podcast@gamecola.net?
I sent it to Nathaniel Hoover because he was hosting that podcast.
Oh.
And then he just totally forgot to read it.
Yikes.
Bummer.
Oh,
Listen,
well.
this is what you need to remember about Nathaniel. He is the worst human being that has ever lived.
Yes, it's not me.
Besides Paul Franzen.
Oh! Ouch.
Nap.
Yeah, that happened.
You can also follow GameCola on Twitter. It's at GameCola, I think.
Are we tweeting now?
Oh, we've been
Oh,
tweeting.
gee.
Well, we're just tweeting whenever there's a new article. It's not really that exciting.
And,
If someone wanted
Way
to
to
tweet
sell
for
it,
interesting
Paul.
things, they could.
Way to sell it.
and, you can
Oh,
also
you can also follow us on-
subscribe. Wait, were you going to say you follow us on Facebook?
I was going to say Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, you can like us on Facebook. And, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes.
Is
And
there
if
any
you do
other
that,
way we can
make
pay
sure
it
to-
to our audience?
Make sure to rate us really high if you do that, and leave wonderful reviews.
Also, do we still have that Cafe Press open?
It might still be open, but it's not used.
Did anyone ever buy anything?
My mom did. She bought a T-shirt for me.
Wow,
It was a Be Careful What You Search For T-shirt. It was pretty awesome, actually.
nice.
I was going to buy something once, but then I didn't.
No.
Sure, better man
We have no store at the moment.
I was too late to purchase the Inside the Guide t-shirt. I just suddenly remembered that it's like, hey, wait, I remember seeing the Inside the Guide t-shirt
Yeah,
on the
with
store.
the squirrel
like,
logo.
Yeah, and so I went back and it was removed, and I'm like, oh.
See, I
Oh.
actually had a thought recently that's something that I wanted to do, because a favorite thing of mine, remember we had discussed previously yard sales, and going to a yard
Yes.
sale and buying like a shirt from a school that was like 3 states away?
Yes.
Now see, what I want to do is buy GameCola t-shirts and give them away to thrift stores. And then, 10 years from now, I'll see some kid wearing a Be Careful What You Search For t-shirt. And I'll go, wow,
It would be cool.
Yeah.
See, that was
Yeah,
the
man,
big
it's a
problem with
magic
Cafe
maker
Press, though, was
building
each T-shirt was like $25 or something.
Yeah.
That was why I stopped maintaining it, because it wasn't even worth it for me to buy the shirts.
No.
Well, here's what you do. Open up your own thrift store. And then, artificially age the shirts. Hell, bring them to my neighborhood. The hipster kids will eat them up. They're not that smart either.
Yeah.
You just tell them that it's hip and cool, and they'll buy it and wear it.
Tell them it's a vintage GameCola t-shirt,
Yeah.
Yeah, it can have the old logo on it and everything.
right?
Pretend like you were like one of the first game things on the internet.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, cool, it's so old and ironic. Let me give you too much money to put it on. And then you can sell them like a Pabst Blue Ribbon just to seal the deal.
Yes, the PBR.
This is why Vangie married me, because I just hate on everything.
Yikes. So crossover games.
Isn't this podcast over yet?
But, yeah, I guess we should wrap this up. So we talked today about crossover games, I think. Did we? Did we actually talk about
A
that?
little bit. We
little bit.
talked about like the
Here and
3
there.
crossover games there are.
And crossover games we wish existed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Earthbound and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Oh.
Maybe. But anyway, we talked about crossover games. And, how there need to be more. because there aren't any, and we managed to have a podcast about it without there really being any.
It would be nice if there were more.
Yeah, then we could have another podcast about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in any event, we tried. We had a podcast anyway, and now it's over. So thank you everyone for coming along. Paul Franzen, Michael Gray, Michael Ridgaway.
Well, thank you, Jetty.
Yup.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, this has been podcast number 32. So, goodbye everyone.
Doodles.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Wait, what's gonna go at the end of this podcast?